Welcome to Talk to Your Mom, a home for conversation where generational knowledge is wealth. I'm your host, Keyaira Kelly, writer, producer, speaker, and advocate for all things women. And I will be joined by my mother, Tarawoner Kelly, life coach and founder of TYL Foundation. We're going to discuss some transformative topics and have some vulnerable conversations about life, love, and growth.
I need to call my mom.
Hey,
Hey, Mama.
how you doing?
Mama, I got something to tell you.
Hello, Keyaira.
Hey, Mama. Can we talk? You just never do that.
I do say that.
Mama, you will not believe what just happened today.
What happened?
All right, I love you.
I love you too.
The reason we wanted to start this space is because our mothers hold so much wisdom, and it's such a blessing to be able to talk to your mom and share experiences with someone from a totally different generation than you. I really wanted to have these conversations to exist as an invitation for all of you who are listening to have these discussions with the women in your life. Hey y'all, and welcome back to Talk to Your Mom, and happy 2025. We made it. We made it, y'all. I don't know where you're at when you're listening to this, but just the fact that we have the privilege and the blessing to commune this way again we're actually recording this on 1/1/1, Mom. It's January 11th, 2025.
Oh,
Ooh, look at your eyes. 1/1/1. Those are just really great prophetic numbers, really. So yeah, I'm just feeling good about recording on this day, and I'm also just so grateful to be back with y'all. I know there's been an long hiatus. For everyone who doesn't follow our social media, you should, at Talk to Your Mom on Instagram, or Talk to Mom Pod. Oops, not sending them to the wrong thing. At Talk to Mom Pod on Instagram, you should be following us. But I shared a post about the passing of my cousin last May, and there was just a lot of things that unrolled that took a toll on all of us. And when I say all of us, I don't mean just my family. I mean a lot of families, and I'm sure whoever's listening to this. So we took a long hiatus to take care of ourselves, and I'm learning as I grow as a woman that it is okay to slow down and be patient with the process, but it's important to come back and pick those things up that you loved. So we're back on the podcast. Hey, Mama.
hey, Keyaira.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too.
I know we see each other often, way more than we used to, which is such a blessing.
Yeah,
But I'm still always so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too.
So today,
You're my rainbow baby.
oh, my rainbow baby.
Yeah,
Can you
you-
explain what rainbow baby is for anyone who doesn't know?
Okay, so rainbow baby is the baby that comes after the loss of a baby.
Oh,
And I lost the baby, and I was like 4 months. And after I lost that baby, it was hard. It was difficult. But then God blessed me with you, and they call it the rainbow baby
oh.
because I was blessed with a baby right after a miscarriage.
It's like the blessing after the storm,
Yes.
like the rainbow that Noah saw.
Yes.
That is so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, as your rainbow baby, I'm just happy to continue to share these stories between each other, but also with other people who are listening. And as we enter another new year, there's a lot of questions that I know we all have in our spirits. There's a lot going on in this world. Always, though. I will say, I know it's very normal to get very caught up in the catastrophes that are occurring. But I will say, and Mama, you have more wisdom than me, when I look at the way the world has gone, catastrophic things are pretty regular. And I don't know if it's crazy to say should be expected, but it's just a part of reality on Earth.
Well, you know what? Your grandmother used to say, nothing is new under the sun.
Oh yeah, that's from the Bible.
Uh-huh. And on top of that, like, I can remember her talking about floods and catastrophes that happened when she was growing up. So when I look back on it, it may have happened in her time, but because the world has changed, the catastrophes are even stronger, more diabolical to me. And it's like I'm really looking into a world I'm unfamiliar with.
That's pretty scary to hear a woman who was born in
19
segregation times, 1954.
No, Grandma.
No, I'm
talking
talking
about
about
me.
you.
Oh.
To hear that what's happening now is more catastrophic because you grew up in a time where there was still segregation.
Yes.
I don't think Brown versus Board of Education was until 63.
Right.
And so you grew up not even in integrated schools.
Right.
That's what you were born into. And so, and then we'd be thinking about the civil rights movements and everything we see about the 70s. You lived through the assassination of JFK,
Yes.
MLK. So to hear someone your age say that this is worse, I mean, Vietnam, you were there in the 80s crack epidemic. I can keep it going, right?
Yeah.
So to hear you say what we're dealing with, what is it that feels different to you? Because I feel like you lived through a lot. All those things I named before I was even born.
Well, I think what has happened is there is so much greed and no morals or values or standards that people are living by to make sure that we are whole as a person. And I'm just going to go back to these two things before we move on. Love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul, your strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. What is going on with that? Two greatest commandments. If we did those two things, the world will be the way God wanted the world to be.
That's really the truth, because when you say love the Lord with all your heart, it's a new anchor. You're not anchored to anything in the physical.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that there's not devastation and grief, but we're not putting our trust in these structures and these things remaining the same.
Right.
So that brings us to our topic of the day, which is really discerning a yes from a no, which I think is all a part of the same thing, because there are some devastations in life that are a part of our life story because we live for testimony, really, to show what God can do with what happens to us. But then there are some devastations we can really avoid.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so that's the yes and the no of it all is, and I mean, it's a really tough question.
It is.
But I can admit I've grown in my womanhood, and I can now discern between my will and what God's perfect will is.
Ooh.
I'm not perfect. You said
no.
praise God.
Yeah.
She sees it. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, but I have humbled myself enough to admit that there is a difference, and I have lost my way before. Oh, Lord, he's still working on me. So we wanted to just talk about times when we felt in our spirit, this is a no for me, and didn't listen to it. And times where we really felt a yes in our spirit and did listen to it and saw the benefits of that. And we're hoping by sharing some examples, we can help you with your yes and your no. Because I really have been humbled by just this idea of like, I don't have to go through everything. I can listen, and the Holy Spirit is there to give me instructions and guidance for a reason. So I do think some things can pass us by, and I'm hoping by sharing the wisdom of my mama and by sharing the things that I've gone through in my little 35 years, it can help you start thinking about the ways God speaks to you in your life, because it's different for everybody also. So don't be listening to me and my mama and be expecting it to sound the same. So, Mama, what is a time where you felt a no in your spirit and you went and did it anyway and felt the consequences of that? Yeah.
Okay, this was really, really deep. One of the teachers at my school told me that one of the teachers down on the lower level was...
Well, start from the top. You used to work as a behavioral modification teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, just give them a little more context.
Okay. I was at a school, and I was the behavior modification teacher. And the behavior modification teacher always get the kids that are supposed to be unruly in the classroom. disobedient. But when they came to Mrs. Kelly's room, Mrs. Kelly never had an issue. Now, sometimes I would have to go to the classroom to find out what is going on with this child. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. A lot of times the teachers would bring on their things from home, and the kids would be attacked subliminally by the teacher. And I watched it.
Oh, so you're saying the teacher would be going through her own emotions and stuff, and the kids would basically get the emotional backlash of that.
And they would backlash the teacher.
Oh, okay. So then it's a war.
Yeah. So let me give you an example right quick before I go to this one topic. It was a young lady in the class, and I was sitting next to her, but I could see the teacher, and I'm not going to say the teacher's name. And the teacher was mouthing some crazy stuff that now I'm not a lip thing, but I saw the stuff she said. Then all of a sudden, the girl said, "That's why your ASS stinks." And I said, "Oh, wait." She said, "Get her out of here, Mrs. Kelly. Get her out of here."
Oh, no.
And so they went and got the superintendent. I said, "Hold up. You can call the parent. Yes, she was wrong for saying that. But ask the teacher, what did she do to bring it on?"
So what happened with your no and your spirit?
Well, I'm getting ready to go. I just wanted to, you talked about the school I was at. So anyway, it was a teacher down in the basement. I know. I went somewhere.
It's so funny, though.
I know. It was a teacher down in the basement.
I can't believe she said that.
She did, in the classroom.
It's really funny. Keep going. You're good. Don't worry. It's actually hilarious.
Okay. But anyway, the teacher was mad at me because I said, "I saw what you said to the student." And she retaliated because you were doing a disservice to her, and that was wrong. But anyway, I told the parents not to beat the child. Don't whoop her, because it was
provoked.
An exchange, and it was provoked. I've seen a lot of that in my lifetime. But anyway, this teacher was downstairs in the basement. Not in the basement, the lower level. And another teacher said, "Oh, Mrs. Kelly, she is really, really having a hard time. She's having such a hard time, and we just feel like you need to go down there and talk to her." And I'm going to be honest. I heard no.
You heard it audibly in your stomach?
I heard it in my spirit. Like, I could hear it. It came deep within, like,
Did it make you feel nauseous? Were you?
No, I wasn't nauseous. I just knew I wasn't supposed to go.
It was just, And did it say, "Don't go down"?
It says no.
Okay.
And so you can call, I don't know what people call whatever they call. I always call it the Holy Spirit. People call it intuition, woman's intuition. But I shouldn't have went. I went down. She was a wreck. And her son was taking her through so much. He had no belief systems. She said it was all her fault. She didn't want to live. And here, Mrs. Kelly, the one that's always trying to help everybody, knowing that I shouldn't have went down there. I went down there and I talked to her for an hour. And then I would never forget the principal. The principal came in, and she said, she looked at me, and she said when she looked at me, she could feel that I was saying no inside of me. This was really weird to me. I didn't find this out until later. And I kept talking to her. I told her what to do. I told her about candles. I told her how to meditate. I told her this is a prayer that I want.
So you gave her instructions to free herself from the bondage.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I did all of that.
Wow.
And baby.
Oh, no.
The next day, they said, "Ooh, Mrs. Kelly, Mrs. So-and-so is bright as the sun."
Like she came up into the school the next day.
And they said, "But what happened to you? Did you sleep well last night? You look like something has happened."
Like a train wreck.
Yes. And so that's when I remember my mother and my grandmother said, "Be careful what you do or who you entertain, because spirits can move." So what happened was, it was a transfer of all the depression. I was taking on everything that she was feeling, and it showed on my face. I heard no. And I did my own will.
That's a really good example. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I want everyone to really hear me and understand me on this. We're not graced to be yoked to the burden of everybody.
Ooh.
And
that's good.
We must be anointed to carry that, or we will be in bondage and drown trying to get them out the water.
That's right.
And it really takes, that's such a good example, Mom, because especially for folks like me and you who are gifted in mercy and compassion, this is really a way the devil plays on us. Be like, you got to help them, and if you don't, And so I appreciate you sharing that, because people, they now call that people pleaser. I don't think there was a verb language for it at your time, but like a people pleaser is literally draining all of their energy for the benefit of other people. And they'll call like that lady an energy vampire.
Yes.
When you said she was sparkling like the sun.
Oh.
And so that's one that's I've been working on too. I would say for me, the hardest part of growing up has been learning that I can't be impulsive.
Thank you. Oh my goodness gracious! I was wondering when you was gonna learn that, because that was
I
hard.
know
So
it, girl.
Tell me how you learned it.
Girl, through pain and suffering.
So you went through hard lessons.
Relentless pain and suffering. So the one I'm gonna, you are so funny. I guess I've never said it that way before.
No, you haven't.
So the one that I know is anytime I'm rushed into doing things, or I rush to make a big decision, something's wrong, something's off. So my example of this was I had a really devastating breakup, just one of those ones that take out not just you, but your mama, your daddy.
It took us all out. It did.
It was terrible, because I thought I was going to get married. We had looked at houses before. I was like, this my man. And that's a wrap. So when that didn't work out, it was really a complete devastation of self. You know, people talk about soul ties, and you know, the thing about a soul tie is you tie your destiny to somebody that you weren't destined to tie it to. So breaking up destinies that weren't meant to be together in the first place, it's just a lot. So anyway, I was going through that. And when it happened, I couldn't grapple with the reality that it was over. And I just immediately booked a flight to Miami. I was just gone.
She split.
You can describe it.
It was a split. She was one side, one way, one side the other. So she wasn't whole. And we told her, don't go, be still. But she's grown.
I was grown, and I couldn't cope with the reality. I mean, that's what happens mentally when you dissociate from an experience. When your brain can't cope with what happens, it does split into two realities. The bearable one and the one that isn't gets buried. So I did that, and I moved really quickly. I think I booked the flight within 24 hours of it happening. I was just gone. And even though I don't regret it, it was actually ended up being a very beautiful trip. But it was the beginning of me running from everything. That was at the root of it. That's what it was. It was the beginning of me just learning to just run from everything. And that caught up with me eventually. And so with me, my no is when I have impulsive decisions, I have to question them. I really have to tarry in the spirit. One of my girlfriends has been talking to me about tarrying in the spirit. I really got to hover in that thing for weeks on end, if not sometimes years on end, before I really move passionately in one direction of something. And that has been the hardest. I mean, when I tell you that has been the hardest thing to learn, that my impulsive decisions aren't always guided by the best parts of me. It's been very annoying. It's not as fun. It's not as fun, Mom. It's not as fun. Boo, boo, tomato, tomato.
I agree.
Boo. It's not
agree.
as fun. It's the worst part of growing up. Boo. But I just got tired of, now when I take my time, I notice so much more peace in my life. But before I go to the yeses, I just want to share this. I get so frustrated with God not answering it immediately. When he's just like, I'm like, God, I just want to know now. I just want to know now what this is going to be. Because sometimes it's not a yes or a no. Sometimes it's a wait. Wait with me. Wait with me.
But you know what? I don't call it wait anymore. I did a different word because you told me to.
Okay.
It's my birthing season.
My birthing season.
So I'm birthing something.
It's a long,
And it's a
decades long.
It has been. It has been. It has
Ooh,
been.
the way it is. Well, okay. How do you, because I actually didn't even think about this, but I think it's important for us to say, we talked about when it's a no. So I know it's a no when it's impulsive. You know it's a no when your spirit goes, but I think wait, we should actually incorporate how you know it's wait.
Okay, so let me give you another example. A principal called me and wanted me to come back to work for her as a behavior modification teacher. And I used to work with her when she was a teacher, and now she's a principal. And she said, Mrs. Kelly, you can almost like write your check. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I wanted to go. I felt like, oh, this is money.
You wanted to take the job opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. And I said, well, I'm on Social Security, but I can make so much money. They tell you can make so much money. I'm going to go for it. I heard specifically, no. Oh, I didn't give you my yes. This is supposed to be the yes thing.
Well, this one, we're doing a wait.
Oh, well, you know what? I can say that. So I heard all money is not good money. That's what I heard.
Okay.
And I also heard if you go, these are all the consequences is going to happen. So I know it wasn't a wait, but I'm getting ready to get to you why I didn't take it, because it actually catapulted me into my vision of TYL, transforming your life.
Oh, like doing your own thing.
I wouldn't have never got my life coach certification if I would have pushed.
Oh, to get the money.
To get the money, opposed to doing what I needed to do for myself. So even though the money was right there for me to get, I had to wait. I had to wait.
That wasn't the stream of income that God was going to bless you through. Okay, so then how did you find out that you made the right decision?
I had peace. And then on top of
peace is a good indicator.
Peace is you know what? Listen to this. This is so important. How do you gain peace? How do you understand peace? Well, peace is like an umpire. It's either in or out.
Okay.
So you know when a person throw a ball and he say you're out or you're in, it's either one way or the other. Peace gives you a settlement within yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it gives you a settlement. So when I'm settled, then I know that's a God thing. Because, see, man can't give me peace.
Right. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I think wait for me, I appreciate for you, it feels like being presented with almost like roadways. Yeah. Like this road's going to lead here and this road's going to lead here. For me, I don't always get presented with options. For me, it's just I get no answers, period. There's just nothing. I say, hey, God, what about this? Which it's just nothing. It's just nothing. And I have to wrestle in that. And so that's usually to him his wait is when he just tells me nothing. It's the most frustrating part of my life as a human.
But not just yours.
I know.
Oh my God.
It's just he'll just say nothing. He'll just say nothing. And so I literally just had this revelation this morning, so I'm excited to share it with you live on the podcast. But I was up and talking to the Lord about wanting immediate answers on some things. Because I believe you can go to the Lord and demand things. I believe that. When I look at the way the saints talk to him, I'll be like, come boldly, say what it is. He's a father. He can take it. So that's how I approach it. So I came to him this morning, Mama, and I was like demanding answers, clear yeses or nos on certain things. It's almost like I might cry admitting this, but this is how the Spirit moved me. He told me my closeness to him is my pursuit of knowing what he's up to more than just loving him.
Say that again.
He said,
your pursuit?
My pursuit of him is based on me just wanting to know what he's up to so bad, more than it is about just adoring him, being with him. He said, you're obsessed with knowing me only to know what I'm about to do. You're not genuinely spending time with me. You're obsessively just saying, just tell me what it is, demanding something of me. And he said, my nature is mystery.
Oh, oh, I can't wait till we do this next part.
My nature is mystery. And he said, in the same way in relationships with other people, you're not really loving them if you don't accept all aspects of them. My nature is mystery. If you can't accept that you will forever be in mystery with me, you can't truly love me, because you're not accepting my true nature is mystery. I broke down into tears. That's why when you came down this morning, I was breaking down into tears, because I realized I kept wanting to know what he was up to obsessively, because I felt like it would keep me more safe if I could predict my environment more. So for me, I'm saying, if I can't predict this world, I just need to be with the one who can, so nothing ever surprises me. That's a totally different reason to pursue him and to be with him than just, I'm just dwelling in your presence. You know, that's a different. And he showed me my pursuit, and what was in it was just to keep my flesh safe. Like, oh, God is on the hotline. He gonna tell me what's up. So nothing ever scares me. So I'm not ever in a mystery. So anyway, I'm sharing that also. He's been having me wait just so I can actually enjoy genuine relationship with him versus just wanting to know what's up.
Okay, let me I got to interject something.
Of course.
This is so powerful, because I was reading about, can you trust me when you can't trace me? And just what you said about the pursuit, just really, because I was reading that the other day about how trust harnesses God's blessings over you, because you trust him when it's not, and you trust him when it is. Paul said to be content in all things, whether good or not. And so you want the unknown, and we'll talk about that podcast later. But he wants you to understand what the known is, which is him.
And that's the only known.
That's the only known.
and that's what it comes down to, is the only known is him. There is no other knowns. Goodness. And just to bring us back to what we were talking about earlier, when we're in these mysterious, unprecedented, devastating, catastrophic type of times, the more we understand that the only known is him and has always only been him, the more peace we will have. Because to bring us back to how I know it's a yes with God, I love that you mentioned clarity earlier. Mine is, you mentioned peace earlier. I wanted to say clarity.
Oh, that's a good one too.
When something is a no, I'm confused, I'm overthinking, I'm toiling in it. Clarity is my yes. Mm-hmm. And if it's not clear, I have to advocate for myself and ask questions to make it clear. And that's been the hardest part for me. I'm learning in real time that I will overthink versus just communicating, this makes me uncomfortable, or I can't do this, or I can't show up this way. I can keep things blurry when the truth is, I can't, I won't, I will not, and it's just clear. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or yes, I will.
Or yes, I won't.
It's so clarity for me is the biggest indicator that this is a yes in my spirit.
That's good.
And so, yeah, clarity and peace go hand to hand.
I agree.
It's almost like looking at it like the sky,
mm-hmm.
a blue sky. Like, is there clarity? Yes. But when things are a little cloudy, well, what can there be more clarity here? Because there are some times when you have to kind of hover in indifference. But if my heart doesn't feel clarity, there's no peace. So how do you know you have a yes?
Oh, my goodness. It's so many. I have so many stories. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, you can talk about talk to your TYL after that opportunity. So how did it feel different starting TYL versus taking the money?
Well, because TYL Transforming Your Life came to me in 2006. Mm-hmm. I know it was from God. I know he gave it to me.
How did you know that? What's that yes?
Okay, so what happened was I came out of the room. I don't even know if you remember. And I said, you know what? And we were young. I was young. You were young. I said, I just had this revelation of TYL transforming your life. And you said those are your initials.
Uh-huh.
I said, oh my goodness, TYL, Tarawoner Yvonne Lyles. Now you cannot tell me that was not given a yes in my spirit.
So for you, there's like a marked like excitement, because even as I'm listening to you tell the story, your eyes opened, you looked filled with some sort of rush of light, and it's almost like what do they call it? An enthusiastic yes, versus when you were talking about taking the money for the other opportunity, you were like, So that's how you would describe that?
Yeah, I would, and I'll never forget. It was a lady that came down from Ohio State that used to actually do the cooking for the girls in my group that had babies, so they would know they don't have to always go to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever. And I told
to do what at McDonald's and Burger King?
To always feed your kids McDonald's or Burger King. She came down and showed them how to go to the little stores and buy food to cook them food.
Oh, like a nutritionist.
Yes, she was a nutritionist. That's what her name was.
Okay.
And I can say her name. Her name was Margaret Gray. Beautiful woman. And I told her about this vision and what I said. And you know what she said to me? Mrs. Kelly, you don't even know what you're doing right now, but this is what you need to do. You need to call the federal government. You need to get it established. Find out if anybody else got the name. Get an EIN number. I said, what is an EIN number? How am I supposed to do all of this? This was in 2006. 2006. So and I have all those things. Guess what? Every time I think I have not moved forward in what God has given me, it takes you all and other people, and this is the honest to God truth, to say you've been doing it.
Yeah.
Just because you're not in this big platform or where you think you are, you've done it because it's been inside of you all your life. The gifting that I have, Keyaira, through TYL was given to me when I was formed in my mother's womb. That's why it's effortless.
So for you, your yes, yeah, it's that boldness, that excitement, that eye-opening, because you can feel when something is a yes, yes, versus And I was sitting with myself this morning and I said, why am I comfortable sitting in, that doesn't feel right? Why? And to be honest, I think there's been so many situations where I've just been forced to endure environments that have been so diabolically opposed to who I was. And so it was part of me learning to survive, was numbing that instinct when I'm like, ooh, I don't like this. It doesn't feel right. Because there have been so many situations I couldn't escape. So as an adult woman, part of me reclaiming my power is in when I feel that way, not forcing myself to sit in it, because I'm now an adult who has autonomy to move out. And so it's very intriguing to watch how that has infiltrated every single aspect of my life, whether it's jobs, relationships, and I mean friendships and romance. But just finally telling myself, I don't have to sit and, I don't like how that makes me feel. So my yeses, I'm just trying to think if there's an example where I had a yes. Well, my entrepreneurship, I would say, the same way you ran into your friend who gave you all the instructions on how to get started. Once I came into agreement with God to be an entrepreneur, I also had mentors come. Our pastor, Pastor Maya, she prophesized over me years ago. I was supposed to be in entrepreneurship. So when I devoted myself to the path, I did actually have people flooding in to support it. I just didn't trust it. But one of the proofs in my life that it's a yes is there will be so much that will start coming in that's in alignment with it, from unexpected sources. It's not always the people closest to you. Like you said, it was someone in a grocery store. For me, it was my pastor, who's now become one of my greatest mentors. So anyway, I hope that this gave y'all just some food for thought on how you can discern your own yeses and nos. I know we're all navigating a lot, and my hope and prayer is always that this is audio soul food. Shout out to our producer, Amber. Audio soul food that you all can take with you as you go on your spiritual, emotional journey. Mom, was there anything else you wanted to say before we wrapped?
Yes, I want to say, if you feel like you wanted to hear more stories from this podcast, what we were talking about, your yes and your no's, I will be so willing to let you know other things that you can feel from your spirit that gives you directions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for listening to Talk to Your Mom. I pray and hope that this finds you at a time where you can sit, digest, relax. And I hope that you can go out and have these stories with your mom or any mother figure in your life or any woman that's important to you. How do you feel into your yes and your no? Comment on Instagram. Let us know. We'd love to connect with y'all. And yeah, until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode of Talk to Your Mom. And we want to hear from y'all. We hope that you go out there and have these conversations with your mother. And make sure you talk back to us. You can follow us on Talk to Mom Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Until next time, so long.